Dixo presenta Meet at the Clubhouse with Garga and Figge. Hosted by Baron and Ilia.
Yo, 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 good morning, everybody. Welcome to Meet at the Clubhouse. Happy Friday. It's going to be a good one, guys. We've got a lot of fun stuff to talk about. We happen to have some absolute legends coming to join us today. We got Garga. We got Figge. It's been a hell of a 48 hours if you haven't been keeping up on the timeline. I mean, Ilia, it's been absolutely wild just to see all the amazing content out there. The info dump has been fun. For me, it's been a blast to see so many different folks just eagerly learning, right? And hearing all these things that we've been very excited to hear about for a long time. Bathroom Blitz video. Dude, I can go on and on and on, but I won't. We're going to say what's up to Ilia. We're going to welcome up our guests. Give us a minute. They just killed it on Coffee with Captain. Shout out to Coffee with Captain for holding it down. If you didn't catch that, Figge and Garga were on their Space FM yesterday. And then Figge was on the Grail chat, which was also awesome yesterday. You guys have been on quite a tour. So I'm going to throw it to Ilia real quick. Welcome up the co-host of our weekly show, now at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern, because you guys enjoyed the time switch so much. We moved it for everybody. Ilia, what's good? Happy Friday. Welcome up, buddy.
Happy Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday. And I'm not going to lie, it felt good to own the fucking timeline yesterday. Like, it felt really, really, really good. Seeing what's going down in New York, Ape Chain and Soho, a staple putting culture on chain, and then coming back on the timeline and that amazing info dump. And Figge has one of those voices, man. You could just sit and listen. And he was dropping so many gems. Then the AIP pass, like, it's been one hell of a, 24, 48 hours. It's been a hell of a few months. But yesterday for me was, I don't even remember last time I did that many posts because it felt good. I had so much damn energy. I was popping my shit yesterday. Like, we were running the timeline. So shout out to the team, man. It was a great day yesterday.
I'll throw this out there. I messaged Figge as soon as I saw the post, and I said, every part of me wants to call Sean Nana right now, turn on Other Space FM early in the morning, and just start breaking down this info dump for like 8-10 hours, because that's what we used to do back in the day. But you guys were already on it. You're like, you know what? We're going on Other Space, actually. I'm like, oh, shit, cool. I'll listen in the audience, hang out. It was a blast. You guys have been on such an amazing tour. I don't even know where to begin because you've covered so much already. So I think we're just going to welcome Garga. We're going to welcome Figge, and then we're just going to flow with the conversation because there's just so much to cover. Garga, good morning. How you doing, bro?
Good morning. I'm doing great. This has been I'm with Ilia. It's fun to get this shit out there. It was also really heartening to see the amount of support that we got on the ApeCo proposal. I mean, that thing was like 99% voted in favor, 99.6. So thank you to everybody who voted, who made their voice heard there. It means a lot to get that kind of basically unanimous support on something like this. But I'm doing good.
Yo, you guys have been on quite a tour. I want to say this, Garga, and we say it a lot on the timeline, and I think this kind of proves it, is we love the founders, and when you do a call to action and it's something for the better of the club's got your back all day because you've always got the club's back. And I think that's something that, as someone who's been a longtime community member, now working here, I've had such an appreciation for how hard you and Figge as well work to create this amazing vision for us to enjoy. It's not lost on us at all. Figge, good morning. Thank you for being up early. I know you and we're up early right now, and it's not the normal time.
It's pain, man. Pacific Coast, West Coast time, 7 a.m. I just did Coffee with Captain with Garga right before this. I was dying, 6 a.m. It's all good, man. This is a great week. It's good to be here.
I got to say, I already cracked a Red Bull. It's 7 a.m. I cracked a Red Bull, guys. I had to. I had a pot of coffee already. Ilia, literally 4 cups, because I was listening to Coffee Captain. You have to drink coffee with Captain. It's part of the show title. But, the Red Bull. So we're going to go to Figge. We're going to go to Garga. Guys, congrats on the passing. I want to start there of of that, what does ApeCo mean for the club now as we move forward? You know, like where do we go? What does this mean? Because everyone had your back. They're excited to go forward with you wherever that goes. I'm gonna throw it to Garga or Figge, whoever wants to jump in. But what does that mean for the club now?
Yeah, for sure. So the proposal passed this Thursday. There's a lot of work to be done immediately to set this thing up. Make sure that we're doing it in all, a tax advantaged way so that, nobody's getting charged for, we're not incurring a tax bill for moving over ApeCoin or anything like that. I know that Ernest and some of the folks had flagged that as a concern, and I just want them to know that we're on top of it and we've got a path forward. And really, it's a few things. Like, it's important for us, I think, to have a really savvy way of handling this treasury. So every time we spend ApeCoin, at the end of the day, that ends up coming out of everybody's pocket. So, for the immediate, I'm looking at cutting any spends that are happening at the foundation or that kind of stuff that are unnecessary. And looking at the places where we feel like we can create the most ROI for ApeCo, for ApeChain, for Other Side, and for the club. On Coffee with the Captain just now, I was talking about how one of the biggest things I'm excited about for ApeCo is its ability to fund third-party builders on Other Side to, whether they're amateur, semi-pro, or straight up AA, AAA devs, to create experiences like what we just teased, Bathroom Blitz, Other Side Outbreak. Like, Other Side is a virtual world, a metaverse, and a platform that enables people to kind of create on top of it. And I think many of the best, people's favorite chains out there, they probably have a few different games on them, maybe of varying quality. Some are pixel games, some are 3D and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's a very real possibility for Other Side to have not just one or two, but like a dozen incredible 3D experiences, and and we need to really figure out that content calendar, how we're going to handle that, do it in a smart way. But I think by doubling down on builders on Other Side on ApeChain, I think we can start to give ApeChain an unfair advantage in that way. And I'm also looking at fun ways to tie in ApeCoin and ApeChain with some of the tentpole things that we do and we care about, over at BOIC, whether that's ways to loop them in with ApeFest, plans for the Clubhouse. Those are the two that are like really top of mind and active discussions going on, but looking at others as well.
Garga, I know, first of all, congratulations, man. And I love the plans to supercharge Other Side, supercharge things like all the temple events like A-Fest, and definitely the Clubhouse. I've always wondered this. Why do you think that it didn't, when the DAO was in the hand of the community, that those things didn't happen? Do you think it was because the community was unsure if they can participate with BAYC, like the leadership like that, or what do you think that was that stopped the actual DAO from performing the same things that you're trying to do now?
Yeah, I think it's really tricky. Look, the structure of this stuff was built in a lot of way. It was, crypto in the U.S. The SEC just wanted to kind of strangle it. It seemed like, at least the last administration, and that meant that there was impediments kind of every step of the way in terms of, if founders are, literally putting too much effort into a thing, that's a problem. Too much talking to other people, coordination, it was, it was nonsense. And I think, it is a shame in that, like, yeah, ApeCoin had a $1 billion treasury or whatever it was, and it could have done some serious damage. But at the end of the day, you need humans to go. It's not enough to just vote on a thing and it to happen. Like, you need humans out there that are, willing and able to go pick up the shovel and like do stuff and make things real. Money only takes you so far. And so that's where I think this next phase really required leadership and a different operating model so that we can get more accountability within this org and push and drive. I think just writing checks, does not lead to the best results, as we've seen, with NGOs or whatever else.
I think also, like, to speak a little bit about the DAO structure. So, look, I study a lot of conspiracies. I believe in almost none of them, but I love conspiracy theories because they take a really complicated problem and they boil it down to a couple people in a room. Like, it's their fault. It's they were the ones scheming it. And it's like, well, usually it's like it's a systemic problem. Like, that's the truth about it, and that's why so many of the conspiracies there aren't actually real. But I love the imagination there. When you look at the regulatory regime we were under in 2020, so I joined Giga after the drop of ApeCoin. I was in the community before that, but I did study kind of like the rules of the road for, okay, well, we want to drop a coin, but we want to do it in a way that adds value to the community and like that nobody really gets in trouble, that we are compliant with like all the jurisdictions that you can be in. Like this is something that anybody who's dropped a token, you talk to good legal counsel, like they'll tell you just kind of like the framework that you can operate in. And yeah, man, it's like in retrospect, it's a Rube Gold. Like it's crazy, right? Like, okay, so you can't launch the token. There's separate entities that need to be doing things, and you can't coordinate with them. And so like, yeah, when there's like a Panamanian Foundation or Cayman or whatever, there's so many different constructions. So much so to the point that when like I think it was when OpenSea's letter got released last year of like, oh yeah, they created like a Cayman Foundation. Everybody's like, oh, you know what that means? It's like, why does that have to be the signal? Like, isn't that kind of and in stark contrast to that, you look at like Pump Fund, where people just like click a button and they're like, I'm bonding a token. Like, I'm just doing it. There is no other construct around it, right? And I think that like it was weird that we weren't able to coordinate with an entity that has so much impact on like the livelihood of what we're doing. And I think it was frustrating even for the folks on like special counsel. It's frustrating for the folks that were voting. It's frustrating for the folks that couldn't get their AIP through. It's just like it's not an ideal process. And I think to sum it all up, it's just like, great, we did that, and we think that there's going to be another better way to be able to make things happen for the club, to make things happen for ApeCoin, to make things happen for Other Side, and that is like just by going more minimal with the amount of like apparatus around it. So I think that whenever like I've seen a lot of it's maybe this person's fault or that person's fault on the timeline. I want to say like maybe it was like the whole system was just too it was too tough because we had to like be compliant with frankly United States regulations that never were clear enough for us to like work within. And now we're heading in that direction. Also, it doesn't mean that like everything's clear overnight too. Like these rules will take time to roll out, but at least we're not talking to a brick wall, right? Like we're talking with. I just feel like it's so weird to be not for regulators to not want to engage and talk about this productively. It's like being anti-internet. Like, why are you being anti-internet? Like, you can't stop this thing from happening. A lot of stuff that we do on traditional, old-fashioned rails that still go on fax machines, they're gonna come on chain. And you've seen that with Circle's latest IPO. Like, stablecoins are gonna come on chain. It's no coincidence that when Circle IPO'd, that both Mastercard and Visa took a pretty big hit in the stock market, and it's because people can kind of read the tea leaves where things are going. I think a lot of stuff is coming on chain. I think to do it well, we need to not have so much apparatus in the way.
I think about also kind of ownership, right? And apes love the concept of ownership, that, us essentially owning our apes, owning our IP, building with it. There's a set of structure there that really works. And I went deep into this rabbit hole recently called like the IKEA concept, where essentially you provide a little effort and then you have a sense of ownership, right? Based on that structure. Like when Betty Crocker put out her cake mix, you crack the egg. Now you feel like you've contributed, right? So by me putting out a DAO application, whatever, maybe it didn't feel like the right structure. But this new structure sounds like it's meant for us to succeed. It's meant for us to win. When Garga shared the first time, I heard you say on a Spaces you were on, that every time someone's dreams come out of the DAO, that comes out of everybody else's pocket. And I had never really thought about that way before. And I was like, oh shit, like, yep, okay. And that was the moment I knew, like, I'm voting for this because that logic didn't register before. So amazing, exciting times ahead. We could chop on this forever. But the thing that we got to talk about, because we have to, because there's just so much to talk about, is the other side info dump. You guys had this amazing thread yesterday. It ignited the timeline, like Illa said. I spent such a long time watching 1 minute videos over and over and over again, and then the 3 minute video, and then the video of you, Figge, explaining all the detail of the AI stuff that could potentially be useful to me as a builder and others in the club. And all I kept thinking was, oh my God, when can I build on my acid deed? I can't fucking wait. This is going to be exciting. Garga, I got to ask you, as someone who this has been a vision that, from your brain for so long, what are you most excited about to see come to fruition?
So much. I mean, the amount of work that the team's put in, especially over the past like year and a half, is astounding, and I think we're showing off some of that in the tweet thread. We've got the other deeds coming alive. It's such a massive project, over 1,000 3D assets, all, they start painstakingly hand drawn, from every different direction. They're specced out, then they're sculpted overseas, and then you're placing and creating levels and shading and lighting them. It's a really big process. It's like making a movie. And then you have the AI tools that we've been cooking on really, since for months. Like a lot of I think some of the stuff in that video is from like January and all that. But that's us showing, behind the scenes of some of the experiments and AI stuff that we've been working on for quite a while for other side. But really, I think the thing I'm most excited about is just the platform getting more robust and on chain. Like one of the big decisions that we made, a year and a half ago or something like that, was to actually say, hey, we're going to put as little of this stuff in databases and more of it on chain as we can possibly do. And what that allows us is we can make it so there's no distinction between, hey, that you walk up, you grab a coin, a gold coin, and other side, as we showed in like the third video, I believe. That can be an ERC20 token. That can be a fungible token, or it could be a semi-fungible 1155, like the mutant serums are, or it could be a 721 token, like an NFT. And for the user, you don't need to know that. You can just open up your inventory, your profile, click around, and then you can see it though right there, and you can go off, check it on ApeScan, check it on a Block Explorer. It's composable, so maybe you can trade it on existing marketplaces. And I think, it's one thing to create a metaverse or a virtual world like Other Side. There's Web 2 versions of that. But to create one that can reward people, that people can build and launch, crypto native primitives from within it, I think that's where this starts to be something really super special. I mean, we saw a couple years ago with Dookie Dash V1, the original, skill-based mint, how fun that was for folks. And I think the idea of people being able to utilize tokens and NFTs as collectibles and rewards for their own ODK experiences, and also for us to use them in our own kind of mainline stuff. I think that's what gets me most excited about, because that's where I see us doing something where I can kind of sense where this will lead, but there will be kind of emergent behaviors, emergent kind of gameplay that I don't know. I don't know what the end state looks like, and that's exciting. Like people can be creating things that I've never imagined that could really take off, and I think that's always the best place to be when you're building a platform.
I swear, Garga, before I saw that post of the avatar running around and collecting that token, I was sitting here and I was thinking like people are going to be able to launch like pump fund type things where it's just an experience and then they just do like a token drop, and everyone just has to rush into that game. It's on the timeline. And like, oh my God, there's a token drop, and you can only collect X amount for so much for a certain timeline or time period, and you just run around and try to grab as much treasure as you fucking want. And that's like the new token launch mechanic. And when you posted that, I'm like, holy shit. Like that is gonna set the timeline on fire, something like that. Because I haven't seen something like that. There's no other experience, and then you posted it on the timeline. So and then explained it in such a simple way that I know people were watching that and were like, "Oh my God!" Like I didn't even think about that. Like Pump Fun is washed. I'm gonna just do this in a game. So that alone is a novel, crazy experience. And like you said, there's no end in sight, and that's what actually brought people like me and a lot of people into this space is the wonder, that excitement, that curiosity, and I think we're delivering that with Other Side.
I think what's sick about what you just said, Illa, is when I saw the video, I thought of it completely different. And that's kind of the beauty of this, right? Is I imagined a game similar to Sonic where people are going around getting tokens that were of perhaps value. And I'm talking to a friend, like they were like, "How would you do that?" Well, I'd get a sponsor, and it would be advertisement and da da da. And we started ideating, just dreaming. And to hear how you said it and how I said it, and what Garga just said, I think there's going to be so many things that we can't even anticipate that will just become a meta, and that'll be super sick to experience. Figgy, I got to throw it to you. What are you most excited about as you're kind of like ending this discussion tour? You guys have shared so many thoughts. Like, what's hitting you the most that gets you the most excited about this info dump?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different aspects to what we shared. I think the amount of on ramps for creators to do things, I think, can lead to a lot of great stuff. So we've always talked about the ODK, but the ODK is like it's you can do anything because it's Unreal, right? But you have to be kind of like an Unreal dev. Well, we have a tier that's on the opposite side where it's like, okay, you can actually be a creator where you can make emotes, you can participate in Voyager 2.0, which is like the avatar system. You could you could be doing these graffiti stickers. So like stuff that is actually closer to the kind of creation you're seeing on ApeChain right now. But you can have in-world utility. You can do a bunch of stuff. So you don't have to be a full-on Unreal dev. It's much more akin to like launching an NFT collection or, an expansion collection or something like that. So you've got, your hardcore devs, you've got people that, have launched NFT collections before, you're taking care of them. I actually like this spot in the middle too, where, we're working on and have been working on some of this like AI stuff, which basically kind of brings the two closer together. Where I think it's going to be some time before like full on games are, but I don't think anybody knows honestly, because like AI is moving so fast that it's hard to predict where the ball is going to land with that. I think it's just important for people in the space who are making things to be able to work under the assumption that AI will move fast, and so integrate it. And I think that means like the layperson who doesn't know a lot of Unreal can probably just with a couple of prompts, like say there's a Laker game on, you could be like, okay, cool. Like there's a Laker game on. Instead of going to Twitter Spaces, I'm going to go to a bubble, and I'm going to type, hey, there's a Laker game. Can you take like my obsidian parts and luster deed parts and like make Laker themed like other deed landscape because I'm going to host a bubbles in here. And it should be able to like, put those Lego pieces together so that you can have that kind of a backdrop, like a 3D backdrop. And now when people join in the bubbles, it's like, oh man, you like art directed this environment for this. And it would be very similar to what we're doing right now, where it's just like, hey, we're just talking on a spaces, but it's in a bubbles. But you can stream like visuals to go out with it, and it's a purple and gold landscape, right? And so like that type of social stuff, I think gets unlocked by some very simple features quickly. Also, it's like I don't know that it's obvious the level of investment that has been made in the production of all these assets. We have 29 different biomes, which I think sets us apart from like every other virtual world there. There's like this idea of, hey, there's 29 biomes. You can collect those as different categories. But also, we've made parts for each of those biomes. Like there's content kits for them. So if there's a biome that speaks to you or you think is appropriate for a certain story, we're going to provide you with a lot of those Lego pieces starting next month. And there's a little bit in the video where we actually fly past almost 1,000 assets for people to see. I'm really, I'm kind of echoing what you guys have been talking about, where I think gaming is important. I think also the emergent stuff is what I'm most interested in. I actually just saw a 10-minute fly through. So nobody's seen this yet, but like the team posted a 10-minute fly through of the Coda Nexus last night. And it was just set to some like lo-fi music. And I watched the whole 10-minute thing. Looks beautiful. And it's just taking you through all the different parts of the Coda Nexus, which is like the main world. And I thought, wow, this would be really cool if this was a live feed. And like maybe this needs to be like a Twitch stream of just like a lo-fi music fly through of Other Side. And as you fly through, you should be able to see people that you recognize, right? Like people that are in the game right now, people that are in the experience. And that's just like something that people could have up on their TV in the background. Like they could just have a live stream of Other Side going on. And as it moves through Other Side, you could see people's avatars running around. I think I don't even know what that would be, right? Like that's just a new type of experience that people would put on in the background. And so just having folks try things they could be games, they could be experiences, they could be new forms of like getting together, or they could be like pretty passive. I think there's a lot of opportunity for metas to unfold on this platform that we've invested so much in.
I can't believe that we're going to get to do meet at the clubhouse in the bubbles, Illa, with potentially up to 500 people. And the fact that you said you'll be able to like click a link and then just join pretty much anywhere from like, let's say we post on X, boom, you could just jump into the bubble. Like that is such a crazy experience to anticipate because it hasn't really existed yet. So to be able to have this conversation where we talk about, you and I, Illa, talk about this all the time. We're meeting with people from all over the world right now. Different time zones, different places. It's just our voices and our mentals connecting right now. But we're going to add some kind of visual element where it almost feels like it's more like us. And then on top of that, for some of us, for most of us, for many of us, let's rephrase it that way, we're going to have our avatars, our apes, our noticeable, recognizable characters. So when I see Illa running through the metaverse, I go, yo, that's Illa, not just like, hey, that's some random monkey, right? Like when I see Figge with the flip brim hat in the Other Side, I'm like, yo, that's Figge, what's up? And that's such a surreal, crazy experience. And then amplify that with the bubbles. Illa, I can't fucking wait to do that, bro.
Bro, you know what this reminds me of? And that's why I've always been so excited about Other Side is that I like to work with artists. It's great to work with big artists, right? But the thing that I love the most is to work with underground emerging artists. That's why I've always loved punk music. I was one of the first people to work with like Little Pump and those guys when they were starting to come out. I was in the studio with XXX and Ski Mask the Slump God when they were little kids because Ski Mask's father was a good friend of mine. So I love working with like brand new artists and I love to break shit, right? Because the Neo in the Matrix is like one of my favorite movie characters. And I always think about the Matrix. The thing about Other Side is it's something that is gonna disrupt the mainstream. The thing that's the big corporations, the big wall gardens of gaming, Other Side is gonna disrupt that. Like the other day, my daughter and my niece came to visit me and it's summertime. They were up till 3 in the morning, and they could stay up till however late because they don't have school. I wake up the next morning to go to the gym. They were up at 9 in the morning or 8:30. I'm like, yo, what are you guys doing up? They're playing this Roblox game called How to Farm. It's like the biggest game in Roblox right now, and all it is buying seeds, planting them, and then collecting fruits. And I was like, "Why are you guys up? We're playing our game." I'm like, "So what's up with the game right now?" They're like, "Oh, there was a fruit there was a fruit drop, and we missed most of it by 10 minutes." So the dev randomly drops these fruits, rainbow fruits, glowing apples, and all these special fruits that if you get one, you can take it and break it down into seeds and grow it and sell it. And it's the biggest game on Roblox. Something that simple. How to farm. So I'm like, God, that's a question for you guys. What is your excitement level when it comes to like the people that are going to be able to come in and actually build these experiences and like come out of nowhere and maybe build something as simple as a farm game and it's the biggest game in the world and Bloomberg's writing about it.
Yeah, I think that game in particular is interesting because that developer is like, he's posting every day. He's like updating it every day. And Roblox, I don't think that they could have seen somebody like that coming. For people that don't know about it, there's like a really popular like farm game on Roblox right now. It's like the biggest thing ever. And the developer like pushes updates every single day. And it's to the point where like people are dropping in the comments like, "Dev, please go to sleep. Like, we're worried that you're not actually sleeping because you're working so much." And I want those creators to find like other side to be a superior platform. I want them to come over here and do this stuff. And kind of like long term, when we talk about like how it relates to BAYC or the Clubhouse, like the way I see it is, 25, 30,000 other deed holders. I think that may sound like a pretty significant number, but like that's a very initial cohort, right? Like when we have all of this stuff, when we have a good first cinematic touch for people to get into the other side to be like, "Oh shit, like this is what that stuff is now." Like I remember looking at NFTs 4 years ago, but like this is different. There's a lot more for me to interact with. 4 years ago there wasn't really like, the user experience was pretty hard, and even when you could figure it out, there wasn't like a whole lot to do. For me, 4 years ago, the most interesting stuff was almost all the stuff around NFTs, like the communities that form, the meetups that form because you own digital objects together. Now we are able to have like more ways to engage online. So I mean, I think our target needs to be much bigger than the current group of other deed holders. I think we're trying to get a lot more people to get exposed to what crypto is, kind of through this like Trojan horse. And as they establish, like, "Oh, I actually like this, I can do my own experiences." You could be like the farm dev in Roblox, or like, honestly, a lot of the top devs in Roblox, I could see as we increase like the core cohort. Like, I want to get to a place where we have, this is just as a side. Like, I always think it's funny when you hear protocols or apps saying like, "Yo, we're going to bring on the next billion users to blockchain or the next millions of users to blockchain." It's like, man, just try to get like a couple 100,000 that are just showing up every day. Like, let's be realistic about like what step one is. And once you are able to do that, then maybe we believe like the next steps. And I actually think for other side, we would be so lucky to have large server bills because there would be so many people, engage with it. And that's really our goal heading into 2026 is like, we want to get to a place where like there are that many more people involved with that as their first touch to crypto. And if people are coming in, if there's that top of funnel coming in because we're doing good user acquisition, it's only obvious that they'd be like, "Well, what's a really cool like what's the best NFT I could get?" And they'd be like, "Well, you should probably get a Bored Ape." And like that just brings a lot more attention onto the club and people who can like work their way up to the world. We saw that a little bit with Ape Chain. Like people would be trading and trying to flip their way to like a mutant to try to get into the club. Like I think we are going to be able to like get a lot more people top of funnel on other side, and it's things like ApeCo that could supercharge a user acquisition to those platforms and have a great story and top of funnel for us to participate in.
Yeah, I was looking. I had no idea how many experiences Roblox had. It's 7.9 million experiences have been built on Roblox. That's fucking insane.
That's a big
Like,
narrative. It's huge. It's huge.
that's insane.
A lot of them are really simple. I mean, it's funny. Wiley was texting me about Ninja Legends, which I guess is a different Roblox game. I've never played it, but apparently he was momentarily obsessed with it when we were founding Yuga, and he was like spending money to play it. And it looks like you're just, a little square little Roblox dude batting around a katana, swinging at shurikens or something. Anyway, I gotta play it. He was mad at me because I was like, "Oh, I'll watch a video on it." He's like, "No, play it." So I'll figure it out this weekend. But yeah, like it just shows the capability of like once you have a robust, mature platform that enables creators, like the Roblox guys, no way that they thought like some simple farming sim would be the biggest thing in the world for them 10 years down the line. But when you give people the Lego blocks, like that's part of the magic here is to see what comes out the other side.
I can't wait to see what we can build with the AI tool versus what a highly, skilled person, let's say, with the skill set of Tropical Virtual, who's hosting these weekly amazing builds. By the way, guys, if you aren't checking out Tropical Virtual's weekly builds on I believe it's Ape Control that Frosty's is building, you're missing out, because I'm learning a lot. I know a lot of other community members are learning a lot, but I'm going to flash back to an old game that I played once upon a time, and it was a metaverse game in which I remember paying a kid off of Twitter $1,000 to build a building for me, and I only could imagine. This is why I always got so excited about other sides, because I could always just imagine this e-commerce experience where, and Illa and I, once again, we've talked about this forever on this show, is that there will be a time where people will be able to go into your world, create some kind of economy, some kind of game, and like Garga says, go to sleep. And it will continue to exist and build and be played. And that is the thing that I am most eager to see come to life, especially on my own deed. I've had such dreams, right? And so many of us out there have the same desire, dreams, excitement, whatever. Now the fun part is getting people beyond our group here to feel that excitement and to have fun with whatever we get to experience along the way. So I can't wait for that to come along. So guys, listen, we don't have a ton of time with Garga and Figge. I think we only have about another 20 minutes or so. We're going to open up the stage to questions. So if anyone out there wants to come up, has any thoughts, has any questions, just wants to say good morning, you're absolutely welcome to. Please request up. Garga, Figge, before we open the floodgates to potentially our friends joining us, is there anything you guys want to touch on? Because I think to myself, you've been on a few spaces in the last few days. Perhaps there's something you may have forgot to say, something you wanted to say that you didn't on any of those other spaces. Just throwing it out there in case you do.
Yeah, I mean, just thank you everybody for your support. Thanks for liking, sharing, retweeting, spreading the word. Thank you for supporting on ApeCo. Just very grateful. A lot of work goes into each of these things, and it just makes it all that much sweeter when the reception's like it's been this week. So really appreciate you. We've got Bathroom Blitz coming in July, so next month. It's a really fun, very wacky 8v8 deathmatch shooter game in the Bored Ape Yacht Club bathroom. We're all tiny little, Honey I Shrunk the Ape size. There's grappling hooks to fucking, you can use to kind of navigate the map. You can kind of flush yourself down the toilet. You can snipe people from the ceiling fan. It's pretty fun. So, it all started with just a little sketch that we did internally, shared it over with command line, and they really took the ball and ran with it. So that's just one experience. The next one comes the following month in August. We'll have what we're calling Other Side Outbreak. It's basically like a zombie infection game. One guy's got the plague, and he's got to chase everybody down and get them infected. And at the end of the round, it's a timed match, and at the end of the round, either the survivors win or the infected win, and I don't know, it's pretty fun. There's a lot of little boosts and things hidden around the map to trick people. You can create decoys. You can speed up. The map is beautiful. It's There's some story behind the map that we're excited to share too. So anyway, just excited to get people in. There's going to be XP starting for Other Side 2. Can't speak too much about that yet, but basically, look, like with any crypto protocol and game, we, not all users are valued the same. We want, to be able to support and reward users who keep coming back, who help us play test things, who engage, who create things for the ODK. So we'll be launching XP, I think, in time for Bathroom Blitz. It'll go through, Zombie Tag. There will be a retroactive aspect of XP. So yes, if you, participated things in the past, if you played Project Dragon, we want to be able to show you some love too. So stay tuned for more info on that. But that's what's coming in the immediate. And obviously, Nexus, Persistence, Other Deeds, all that good stuff is coming too. But, these next 2 months, we're really excited to show you Bathroom Blitz and to show you Other Side Outbreak.
Sheesh, brother Figgy. Anything you wanted to add before we open up the floor?
I'll add one thing that's just been happening off screen. So yesterday was a big drop for a lot of the stuff we're doing on Other Side, but at the same time, one of the things I'm involved with is art institutions and adopting digital assets over there. And I want to remind people to get out and just be focused on the right things. Because I know when we say like institutions are coming for our JPEGs, a lot of that could mean like the stock market. But to me, it also means like art institutions and legacy and making sure that we're active part of that conversation. So out here in LA, they're about to open up the David Geffen Galleries, which is this huge new LACMA building. It's like a $700 or $800 million building that spans Wilshire Boulevard, and they have a team that is like dedicated to figuring out digital art. And I want to make sure that there's still a spotlight on that component of the narrative of our community, because I really do feel like, Bored Apes and Mutant Apes and everything that we do in NFTs has like there's an artistic aspect to it. And I want to make sure that while that conversation is happening, like people just don't get lost in the sauce on like the stock market stuff. Like cultural institutions are really important. And I know there's, you know, we're talking a lot about like the releases that were out there, but like some of the stuff I want to hear about is NFT NYC's this week. I saw so much on the timeline about Ape Chain happening out there too, and I think that's worth going over too.
Oh yeah, we kind of glazed on that because there's just been so much to talk about. They're out there. The last 2 days, I think, we're holding it down at the Jeff Staple store, giving me tremendous FOMO. The shirts that I saw on the timeline were insanely cool. The event looked cool. A lot of people just talking about great times and memories. And Figgy, I heard you talk about this yesterday, just the power of the IRL events, and you've been making it a focal point of your energy to some dynamic way where it really impacts people, and getting together, breaking bread, it creates this bond that goes so deep, and it's really another reason why we're in the club. And I'm really happy you touched about that LACMA thing. I saw it in your Instagram and I had so many questions about it. I think that's incredibly cool. Guys, we're going to open it up to the room. I'm going to throw it to my favorite ape, who I'm 1,000% certain won't respond back to me, but I have to do it. RFDZ, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, bro.
Oh shit, he said hello. Hey guys, that's super rare. Figgy, Garga, that's super rare. Do you have anything to say this morning? Any questions for Figgy or Garga this morning, or just coming up to hang out?
Oh, I was just thinking about ApeCoin being the coin of the realm and there being just like a billion of it. I mean, how much gold was in World of Warcraft? I mean, is a 1 billion enough?
Is 21 million Bitcoin enough? Like, I think it's super divisible, right? Like, we're going to be able to figure this out.
All right, that makes sense.
Yeah, we're gonna break it down into ape Toshis.
Ape Toshis, yeah, exactly.
Got to break it down. Got to definitely break it down. Yeah, definitely want to touch on. Shout out to Terrell Jones, Derek, and Modus Art for actually being part of art on Ape Chain and NFC NYC, and especially like Terrell Jones, his drop sold out in seconds. I know Derek was with the shirts, and he's an amazing photographer and a OG punk. And then my thing that I was most excited about, that I had the most FOMO, was Modus Art, because I got to meet with him and help curate his entry into going to NFT NYC, and his art. His live show is incredible, his live experience, and he actually has a MIDI controller. So if you go up and you're actually there, you can use the MIDI controller to actually manipulate the art that he uses and get your own output. So it was like an actual like crazy experience. So everyone who got to experience Modus Art, I know they walked away like looking at like really enjoying that experience. And that's the thing that I had the most FOMO about. I feel like it's super important that we continue to curate amazing artists and invite all these amazing artists. And I think all three of them, this was their first drop on Ape Chain, and we're gonna have a lot more of that, because we all hyped it up to them, and they experienced exactly what we hyped up. 30, 20-second sellouts, and people excited about their art and excited about more things. And Terrell Jones wants to do more, and so does Derek, and so does Modus Art. So I feel like we're really succeeding with putting art and culture on Ape Chain, which is not an easy thing to do in a space where it's basically a giant fucking casino. And shout out to Pog, because they were holding it down as well.
Yo, GM Pog, happy Friday. How was your event, man? I'm so happy to see that you're in the community now as a club member as well.
Brother, it was incredible, man. The team at Ape Chain is second to none. From Juan, Spencer, Maggie, Lost, everybody who put that together. It was absolutely incredible to see all the artists and that, the vibe. People were walking up the street and they'd stop and play Pogs. They'd run in, figure out what was going on there, register, and like get into the Staples store and walk out with some shirts. And we spent way too much money on Staples clothes, probably. That's all I'm going to be wearing for months now. But just couldn't have been more exciting. We didn't have a winner for the Mutant Ape, so we just gave up 33 more chances for everybody to win the Mutant Ape. We just increased the opportunity, like I guess what the probability. So it's 10 times more likely that you're going to win that Mutant Ape right now, like this moment, because we want it to be gone. We want somebody in the community to win it, or somebody new to join the community before we leave New York City. So there's a mutant on the loose in New York City right now. Times Square is the keyword, but we just couldn't have had more fun. We're really looking forward to the new activations. I'm at the head of engineering at Yuga Labs. Found out that he created some things that we're really, really excited about. Just couldn't be more excited about all of the partners that we've brought on in the Ape Chain community to bring them together. I mean, it couldn't have gone better, man. We are so excited about the activations. The other side's coming, and we've got some really solid partnerships. Care Bears are coming to Ape Chain. We got like Smurfs and Dr. Seuss and some other great IPs, some big world sports teams, and they're all coming to Ape Chain through POG. So we're really, really pumped. But it couldn't have been better. We got to play with Josh Ong, got him a gold slammer. He was the first ape on a POG. When I was out in Paris, I got to meet Garga and show him Josh Ong's POG. And so we finally got we're getting that. Anyways, we're getting all taken care of. We're really excited. And at Ape Fest, leading up to Ape Fest, we're going to pick 6 people in the community to make POGs with, and then the top 6 on our leaderboard get to make POGs for Ape Fest too. So super excited about continuing that, and I think there's just so much we're going to do with you. This is the perfect place for POG, and it just proved it once again this week at the Staples store.
I'm going to keep campaigning to be one of those 6 as a Garga and Figge. I'm going to share this fun story with you guys. The first hustle I ever did was as a little kid at my mom's sewing machine store. I had a display where I put all my Pogs out for sale, and I walked up and down the streets of Burbank putting up flyers. Come to my mom's store to buy Pogs and blah, blah, blah. So I was hustling Pogs as a little kid. And Sean, Nana, and I, we used to get in fights where our parents had to separate us because we played Pogs for keeps, dog. And when you play for keeps and you're a little kid, you learn about losing and handling anger when you're losing. It was a fun time.
Who was winning more between you and Nana?
It was Sean's little brother, and that's why his mom would make us stop, because he would come in and then we would like start teaming up on him, and then it was 2 against 1, and Pogs brought out a lot of energy out of us.
Yo, when I think it was so great to see Josh Ong in Soho playing Pogs. Because when I think about BAYC, I think of 3 apes. If I'm like, these are the people I would put out to the world as BAYC. One would be Josh Ong, who understands culture, sneaker culture, period. The other would be Carson Turner, who lives in Atlanta, drives a Porsche, a black Porsche that he got from the BAYC. And I think the other would be Bad Teeth, who came from professional skateboarding and literally lives in Laguna and in that amazing small town and represents surf and beach culture. It's like those are the 3 people I would put up for people to represent like BAYC, so people can see like this is not just something that just lives online. These are real people, and these are real people that have affected culture in a real and a cool way. Zard, what's going on, Zard? How you feeling this morning?
I'm feeling really good. I'm still super pumped from the trailer yesterday. I can't be the only one that watched that and thought that it would be perfect in a movie theater. The pre-credits before a movie starts, and you get those little trailers. The other side trailer just would have slotted in perfectly, and what a great way to onboard people in Web 2. But yeah, no, absolutely love that. I had a question for Greg. I think this is the first time I've ever spoken to you, Greg. So yeah, my question is, I've been a fan of Other Side since you guys announced it. It's just, as a founder, I just see so much potential in what it is that you guys have built here and the potential of what we can do with it for the future. My question is, can you do anything to really get the message across to NFT project founders that this is essentially out of the box utility that they could be using? Because so many projects scramble for meaningful utility, and this is actual meaningful utility. It has something that can actually provide a real benefit to not just the project founders, but every single one of their holders as well. So is there anything Yuga can do to maybe actively, I don't know if you guys do adverts or anything like that, but to actively promote it for NFT project founders? Because I think it could be absolutely huge if more and more founders realize that this is something that they can actually provide for their holders. So yeah, that's my question.
Absolutely. I think you're spot on. I mean, look, we saw it years ago with just Sandbox when we just started off, and we loved the idea of having our own little plot in the metaverse, and everybody was going to build next to us and hang out. So it's something that's super top of mind for us. Like, we wanted to make sure we're getting the platform in a mature enough state to be able to invite those kind of folks in. I think it's going to be great now with the Meebit spin out. Those guys have Metropolis, and they're going to be able to like host their own events and experiences and game nights and things from their world. We're in conversation with some other similar communities like that. And I think, a big boon for us is just how much stuff is on chain here, which means, we can figure out, you could token gate your other deed or your experience to people who, own your NFT collection, or it could be a new NFT collection that, people need to get into your space. So we're looking at both, like, what are ways for new communities to form around Other Side, with, people creating and minting fungible or non-fungible tokens, but also existing communities finding utility in Other Side. One of the ones I'm actually really excited about, for example, is, in the thread yesterday, one of the things that is said briefly but isn't really explained is Voyager 2.0. And so what's that mean? It's, in the little timeline that shows us, what we're going to be doing from now until the end of the year, Voyager 2.0 is on there. And what that is a new version of the kind of default Other Side model, your Voyager that you play as, that's built with a layer of composability and basically a wearable system in mind. So if you imagine your regular Voyager, if you've been playing as Voyager and not an ape or a mutant or, a Meebit or whatever, then, could you swap out the head, have like a different head or a hat on him, or wear different apparel? Just imagine your Voyager being able to be reskinned endlessly, like the way that we're so accustomed to doing in other games. And I think something that could be really special is different NFT communities or token communities. In the same way, a lot of these things, they raise money or they get people repping the brand on the physical merch that they sell. We popularized the black hoodie. There's been plenty of those, but tees, hats, and other things. Seeing kind of those versions enter into the digital world, but also maybe just like insane things. Like, I don't want to spoil too much what some of the wearable system will look like, but in true Yuga style, like we go pretty maximalist with all this stuff. And so, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. We want to see existing NFT communities kind of meet, gather, monetize, on other side.
Yeah, and I think it's meant to go both like vertically, where you're like, okay, cool, we're gonna do, like Metropolis is completely vertical. Like they have their own world. They can do events in that world. They're probably gonna have their own experiences, but you could also go kind of like horizontally if that's like too much for maybe an NFT project to take on from the get-go. So you do your mint and you want to get visibility to your project out there. Like, yeah, you should have Voyager 2.0 parts that are collectibles or that you can airdrop to your holders or that are part of a secondary collection to be able to be sustainable. Or you give them out and it's royalty protected, so you can put a small royalty on it. And over time, if you're able to get more attention to your collection, like that's a good way to keep things going. But it's not just Voyager 2.0, it's like the emotes. It's also the graffiti sticker pack. It's what about like, with this command line with Bathroom Blitz, like what about trying to get placement in something like that? Like maybe there's a Zards poster inside the bathroom, like you work something out with Von Doom. I think a lot of this stuff, instead of having to build it from whole cloth, it's like there's a lot of different points where you can actually just get placement and get more visibility for your project. I could see like within a week after your mint, like everybody's in their, Czar's Voyager 2.0, like either there's a component of them like, the gauntlets are changed or they have special shoes on, and you're all doing your emotes and you're going on like graffiti sticker raids throughout other side. Like there's a lot for people to be able to participate in and program around that you could take advantage of the systems that we've been investing in to be able to promote your projects. And that's one of the ways that we think that this platform is going to be able to amplify people.
Man, Garga, that is a quote. I posted it. Meet, gather, monetize. That is a fucking bar. You see, when you're passionate about shit, you can spit out them clips, man. I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell you. I got a question for Garga and Figge. 'Cause I know it's limited. The year is 2030. What does ApeCo, what does Other Side, and what does BAYC look like?
Um, all right, let's start with other side since we were just talking about that. I see it as I want to see an insane catalog of games. Somebody mentioned when we were talking Roblox, 8 million games built on Roblox. No, we're not going to beat that, but you know, I want there to be this Netflix style scrolling menu where you're going to be able to pick from any number of different games. Sorry if you're hearing my puppy crying. He's mad that he's in the crate. Um, any number of different games to join, stuff like Bathroom Blitz, stuff like Other Side Outbreak, stuff that you'd expect to see on, Roblox or any of these other gaming platforms. Really robust wearable system. I want to see world-class creatives, culturally relevant people, musicians dropping wearables and experiences on Other Side. I want to have an insane concert on Other Side. Yeah, there's a lot there. BYC, for me, I'm super focused on the Clubhouse right now, doing a lot behind the scenes there. That's really important to me. I want our space, our permanent space in Miami, where people can come venture to. I want it to be worth the trip if you're not from Miami and you're just coming in for that. And there's some other stuff in media that we're working on with BOIC that I'm excited about. BOIC thrives when we tell stories. When we take, it's a really hard thing for a lot of people to grok. They see these ape JPEGs that are expensive and they think like, what does this mean? Is this just all luxury stuff? Is this for rich people? What is this? And the way that I think it gets distilled down best is BOIC is when you can come, that the ethos that we take when we're building for Bored Ape is when you can find an idea that's so good that it takes something, it takes culture and turns it into luxury. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I wrote it down better the other day, but I want us to be doing things from a storytelling perspective that gets people super excited about the club. It's not about just splashing our ape everywhere, splashing our logo on things. I'm a storyteller at heart, so I want there to be long form ways that people can engage with the brand and know what we're talking about. I want us to be playing in ways that are similar to Mischief and Teenage Engineering and these kinds of like, how can you be a playful brand with that's for adults, that's with a luxury bent to it. And Apeco really it's for supercharging all these things. It's for, other side, BOIC is very much about where like high meets low. It's where we like, try and take one really good idea and transform culture into luxury. We're trying to do that with the clubhouse we're building in Miami. We're trying to do that with some long form media stuff that we're working on. Super stoked there. And then on the Apeco side, for me, it's to supercharge builders in all three of those verticals. BOIC, people own their IP. The club, we're actively creating our own things, but we want and thrive when the community is also building alongside us. Other side, similarly, everything we've been talking about here, getting third-party devs, getting our own kind of Roblox-like ecosystem of devs building on top of other side will just increase the network effects of the whole platform and protocol and, generate value for everybody involved. And lastly, ApeChain. It's like, look, other side's built on ApeChain. BOIC is building on ApeChain. This is its own ecosystem. We've seen NFTs thrive there. We need to double down on getting, utility for NFTs and games onto ApeChain. I think other side in the short to medium to long term really is going to be a massive, massive parts of that. But there's others as well that we're looking at. And yeah, but I'll just leave it at that.
Brother Figgy, you want to jump in?
2030. I mean, I can't say it better than Garga, but that's like we've gotten through this cycle that we're about to get through, another bear, and then we're back again, which that's kind of hard to. The half-life of everything's so crazy right now too. Like I thought World War III was going to break out this weekend, and then it's like, what was it on Tuesday? It was like, okay, no, actually, we're fine. It's not going to break out. So it's pretty hard to tell, what's going to happen like an entire cycle into the future. But I think Garga just said it best. Like we just got to focus on the pieces that we know. And as the space evolves, I think those pieces are going to evolve with it. And I think, we've done a really good job of kind of getting the focal points back, getting like tighter about how everything is run. And I think Garga's been really working on that plan for over a year of just how to like streamline things and things don't happen overnight, but you can start to see like, we're able to now put stuff out that, yeah, we had some of those demos from like last January or December, like months and months ago, and we've just been sitting on it. And even the stuff that we posted yesterday is just like kind of a cross section of a lot of other stuff that's going on. And we just want to get in position so when the timing is right, we're able to like drop some of that stuff. And I really hope that, with the team's focus on other side, with our partners, M Square, Command Line, Prismatic, Possible, everybody who's involved with bringing that stuff together, that we're able to, come up with something new that can empower creators, individuals, shows, NFT founders, like all of the things that I think could unlock a new layer of engagement in the space.
Yeah, I think that other side is going to be instrumental in helping people um, move swiftly through that bear market with a little bit a little bit easier this time in the bear, man. 'Cause I remember Pepe launched in the last bear market, so I feel like other side there's going to be something that launches on other side that softens the blow from that bear market. Hype, how you feeling this morning? Spooky, how y'all feeling?
Yeah, good. First of all, I want to say what's up to Baron, Illa. It's obviously good to meet you. I feel like Baron's little cousin now because everybody's like, "Yo, what's up?" Baron's like mutant, which it's not. So, but I'm Peekaboo. Garga, Figge, and the rest, everybody. I want to just first off say thank you to everybody in the club for welcoming me this week. It is my first week. Just knowing the love's there. I've been chasing this for 4 years, being the ecosystem since 21, and finally getting here and being a part of this community has been amazing. But I just really want to say, first of all, like what I saw yesterday really impacted me personally because for me, it's about the youth, right? I've always advocated for the youth by being in the space. It's about the children in the future, and I think by integrating now, most of us that probably came into the space with our kids being like 8, 9, 10 years old, by the time this really takes off, our kids will be kind of being handed the torch. So I'm pretty stoked on that. But Gar, that's probably where I want to lean a question into you real quick. Obviously with this, it's going to be very expansive. It's going to be obviously available for all of us in this community to build upon. What is the focus going to be for kids? Because I think there is a huge opportunity because that is a big window of onboarding.
Totally. And I think it ranges like, I think we've seen that in this cycle where it's not the millennials, it's not the boomers, it's not, the people that have been coming into crypto and actually, bringing a lot of energy and excitement and frankly making a lot of money have been the Zoomers, like, teenagers who weren't even old enough to own crypto last cycle. And so I think, these folks, they only know meme coins basically these days. Now they're getting more exposed to perps and these other things like that. But I think other side can be a massive way that we get young people involved and exposed to crypto without all the complexities of it, through something that's a little bit that looks and feels like stuff that they're used to, from Fortnite to Diablo to etc. It's like, here's a way to just have fun and be exposed to crypto, monetize via crypto perhaps, but you don't need to be addicted to Twitter to have a good time.
Yeah, man. Welcome to the club. Hope you had a good first week. I actually think that the demographics is a really important part of this puzzle, especially when it comes to users, because like on platforms like this, you really do want people who are time rich, and that tends to be younger people, and that's a little bit tricky, right? Like because that implies certain product features. Like you want them to be able to create and publish without having to put any money on the table, just to kind of like the second that you're like, hey, you have to like buy this or pay that to create, you automatically close the top of funnel, right? But we have to be able to also protect like the incentives around like, I think you should only be able to publish certain things if you own another deed, because that's one of like the main things that could drive demand to other deeds. So there's a balancing act here, and there might be a phased approach to this. But yeah, I think the reason why you see things break out in Roblox is because there's a lot of time-rich people on there who happen to be a younger demo. Like a lot of us here, it's great that we were able to get on today on these spaces, but it's actually like really hard to do the work and then also, be locked in on socials and then also be building stuff. Like we need a variety of types of builders, and I think we've largely been speaking to the folks that are here today engage and not some hypothetical audience in the future, and I think that's the correct thing to do. But when we look forward into the future, I think we have to take into account, like, yes, if you're looking at the demographics and the breakdowns of the daily active users of Roblox, Fortnite Creator, and platforms like that, you really want to make sure that there are on ramps for people who are time rich, for people who can throw themselves at this world and build really amazing things.
I love that phrase, time rich. I've never heard that before. I love that.
Let's go to Sheba. Sheba, how you feeling this morning?
What up, GM? I was just listening in. This is a really good conversation. I just watched the video for like the third time since I've been gallivanting across New York City. So we're all talking about it as we're hitting all the events. I met up with a lot of apes again. That was super dope. My big question is, a lot of us here, I've seen what's going on with abstract streaming. We see a lot of people in Web3 getting into streaming just to get content out for either projects or games. It could be mobile. It could be desktop. I know for us to impact this on a scale that we want to, even if it takes time, we're not going to have 7 billion different games and a bunch of people playing, in the first 3 months. But outside of a professional like streaming platform, like maybe contacting a few people that stream, been doing it for a few years across a few games. Besides that aspect of like marketing for other side, do we plan on encouraging community members, apes, boomers, younger apes to dabble into streaming, maybe enticing them to stream other side and tying it all together with some marketing? You guys have plans to
Yeah,
do anything like that with us?
totally. I think that's one of the reasons why we were getting deep linking working in bubbles. I just think having people being able to like jump in from an external stream is going to be so key. But I also think the streaming platforms that exist in Web 2 are so much more distribution than anything that we've really seen in Web 3. Like, I think Gainsey's stream is like great, and that's like the Pump Fun platform, and I think he's got great content, but like the numbers there are very small compared to the amount of concurrent users that you can have on like a Twitch, right? And I think that what we need to be doing is actually getting our hooks into the distribution that exists on platforms like Twitch. I don't think that we should be natively building a streaming platform. I love Ape Control. I think that's cool, but like I don't think that other side should be doing it. I think we should be providing stream keys, honestly. Or you know what? We don't even need to do that. People can just share their screen from other side. Like, don't overcomplicate it. I do think that
I,
we can get other streamers who already have distribution, get them on board to get our word out. But like, we got to be careful where we put our energy.
I agree completely. It's somebody that big on gaming. I didn't really stream that much. I was like watching streams and I did like modding for the streams and stuff. Just seeing like Twitch and TikTok and of course, like even like Instagram and stuff like that. I mean, I don't think focusing on one would be the key. Also, not like just doing everything. But I know there are a lot of people here on Web3, especially space hosts, people in these communities that would love to play the game just to get it out there and then stream it. So I know here on like the ape chain and the ape side, I feel like we could do it a little bit more organized than they've done it on abstract. I feel like if they're able to organize that a little better, they could have had a better outcome, regardless of the market and Pangu token. I think that the way other side is being built compared to how they built that chain is that we already are a community, right? So if we just teach our people to open up a stream, it could be on TikTok, it could be on Twitch, it could be on Facebook. Doesn't matter if there's 5 or 10 people. Just opening up that outlet and showing the game to a broader spectrum is key here. If we just stick to Web3 and just stream on Twitch or just stream here on X, like what is it going to do, right? We just have to hit other avenues and get other people involved. But I really like what you and Garga have been talking about. Like a lot of questions that I've had is like, what are some of the key pivots we're going to make? Like we've seen it, we know what it looks like, we've played it. Now with the information that came out today was like a really good summary of what you guys have planned ahead, and I think a lot of us are really excited now to get on board.
Appreciate you, Sheba, coming up. Have fun gallivanting around New York. Love it. Let's go back to Kuzan. Kuzan, do you have reception now?
Testing.
Sounds better.
Nice. I'm in the car, so I was getting chopped out, I guess. But 2 quick questions. One for Garga. Yesterday in the Discord, I saw you're mentioning the almost like an Animal Crossing in-game style editor. Is there any way that you could touch more on that versus the ODK? I don't know if a lot of people know about that.
Yeah, for sure. So, there's what I was trying to explain there is, the AI video that Figge voiced over was showing, native Unreal Engine using AI to kind of navigate that, navigate the editor. And so, Unreal that's a a tool for game devs. That's like, it's a hardcore tool. Most of the biggest games in the world, they're built with that. We're not expecting, we're building tools to try and to close the gap and make that easier for folks to navigate. But at the end of the day, it's, it's a robust tool set. But, everybody else, like, if you own an other deed, like, you're not going to need to build your other deed from scratch. So you will be getting your other deed from us, and you can imagine kind of customizing and terraforming that land a bit, like in game, not in the Unreal editor, but in game. And so I was using Animal Crossing as an example there, where, like, you can, it's a kid game at the end of the day. I love it. It's, for adults too, but you can imagine putting up your four walls, decorating your space in a way that, like, anybody who knows how to run a computer game should be able to do. And so, we're looking at references and inspiration like Animal Crossing. We're looking at stuff like, folks who played survival games like Rust, building your kind of base or headquarters and stuff like that as we, flesh that world out. But certainly, you're not going to need to be an Unreal expert to kind of build, decorate, enjoy your other deed.
Nice, thank you. And then real quick, Figgy, before you're touching on cinematic content, flying through all the deeds, stuff like that, have you guys tested FPV style Coda, like a Coda drone type thing yet? I don't know if you've seen like Minecraft videos of people take FPV drones simulated in Minecraft, and you could fly around the world cinematically like that.
So that's something that I talked about earlier on in I just actually watched a 10-minute video of basically like an FPV drone fly through of the Coda Nexus, and I think if that was like our blimp cam and we were just constantly streaming that out to Twitch, that just could be an interesting way, that the channel that people could have on the background TV somewhere. And, if some of their friends are running through other side, they'd be able to see them on that FPV. So that's just a matter of like getting an Unreal camera into the world on a track. Now, controllable ones, yeah, I mean, I think we could set that up. It's an interesting idea for sure. We have some systems right now that I think we just need to build out more content for before building out additional systems, like the CodaCam, for instance. But I could see that as a really interesting like extension of systems that exist.
All right, cool. Yeah, just throwing it out there. Thanks, guys.
So glad you got better reception, man. That was a great question. Honestly, I could imagine that myself. Like, it would be super cool. Like, I don't have time to play, but I could maybe put on, like we used to have the lo-fi channel. Maybe we have a different channel like that. And you turn it on and it's just there and you get to experience the world. I could watch randomly what's cracking, what's being built, what's being experienced. That could be a fun way to enjoy the game without having to play it in that moment. Let's continue to go around the room. I think we're going to wrap up probably. Illa, how much time you got? 30 more minutes? Because we got a lot of great stuff going on right now.
Yeah, I can go for a little longer. Let's definitely get through the hands.
All right, let's do that. We'll push through and then we'll end when we end. We won't go longer than 30 minutes. Marcel, good morning. Happy Friday. How you doing? What's going on, buddy?
GM guys, I'm doing amazing. I'm still rewatching the videos from yesterday. Those teasers are amazing, really amazing. Huge shout out to you guys. It was unbelievable. The biggest thing which really took me deep is the user experience from the on chain. That it looks so amazing. That's the first thing, and the second, AI tools. This is unbelievable, really unbelievable. I have two questions, small one, really small, and sorry, probably I'm being a motherfucker asking this. I yesterday tried to ask it in Discord, and Garga, this question for you and for you, Figgy. Just a bit of alpha about resources, if you can share it. Like, first of all, if it's gonna be as it planned, winter, so somewhere in 2026, like January or February. That's the first one. And the second, how it's going to be implemented. Just, I understand you're not going to share the whole alpha, but just a bit, just a hint to get it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, resources is a very big system because that's a whole economy. And that's something that we want to be very exacting about when those details are gone over. But there's like many variables at play, right? Like there's the resources that exist and basically concatenate to like, anima, ore, root, and shard, which have different like purposes. And then there's different like tiers of those resources, and those resources have to get consumed in a certain way. And this is really like a dynamic game that's kind of being played by tens of thousands of people. And there's certain assumptions that you have to like work through in detail. And we have a pretty rich point of view on this already, but we have to also be quite careful in the rollout of that. So that's why we're doing the other deeds first, and then the resources on that other deed second, because it really needs their own focal point to make sure that we're very buttoned up with it. But there's certain, considerations where codas used to be on other deeds, right? And then you could separate your codas from another deed. And I think there's been speculation around like, oh, are there other things that you can do around that? And you have to ask yourself, like, what does that do to the rest of the system? If like artifacts could move around, for instance, and like there may not be a benefit to that. It may actually like make it more complicated to be able to do that separation. So I don't want to like distinguish one way or another publicly right now in a way that could affect the collecting that's going on. But like suffice it to say, like there's deep thought about the systems and the sinks and the faucets about this world because we know it's important. And I can say that as somebody who bought many other these myself. Like I want to make sure we get this right.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. And the second question, Ila, to you. You've been mentioning, like in April, that Gaia Zero is working again with BAYC. Do you have any updates about it? Anything? Just a little thing? Just a tiny detail? What's going on? Thank you.
I mean, you trying to get me
I
bonked.
actually I sat with Guy last weekend. I'm trying to get him to help me make sure we get the best talent we can get for Ape Fest. So there's that. I guess it's just yeah. I just want to make sure we've got some good talent for Ape Fest. I sat with Guy. Yeah, literally this past a week ago. To start figuring that out.
There you go. You heard it from the man himself. I was definitely about to pass it to Garga because I did not want to get bonked live on stage. Marcel, you up here raising havoc. Holy shit. Yeah, so shout out to Garga going to meet with Guy. Guy's an absolute legend, the Silver Fox, and one of the aces that we have in our deck when it comes to BAYC in the club that other motherfuckers just don't got. So there's that. So OX Board, how you feeling this morning?
GM, I'm feeling good. Thanks for having me up. So, yeah, the bathroom blitz looked amazing. The whole, like, everything you're going to be able to do with Other Side, I think is just going to be insane. And I think we're all pretty excited for it. Like my IP that I have, like the Happy Ape that I created, is all children's based. And I know we were just talking about future generations, and that's what I'm trying to, kind of connect with is through books and animations. And I know there's like 200 some people in here. So if you guys could all go to the link above and watch like the new animation, it has Mocha's in it, has Happy Ape, and that would like help me out so much. But like for Garga, would I be able to have like the Happy Ape character in Other Side? Do you see stuff like that happening with like IP or different characters?
Absolutely. I mean, on a few different levels where you could imagine, if you 3D model out the Happy Ape, we can share with you our spec. We're going to try and get that spec out more public. So, the goal here is to start making it so you don't even need to know me. You just need to read the doc, submit it. We check and make sure there's nothing weird going on, no hate speech or something like that. And otherwise, like we're going to get you into Other Side. And then, in the same way that the ODK, we've got Bathroom Blitz and all that, there's no reason why you can't make a world that's more opinionated in any direction that you want to, whether that's more kid friendly or otherwise.
What about like I think I saw like you can create stickers like we just had Ton, right? We partnered with Ton and we had the BAYC drop. So are we going to be able to create like our own stickers and have those, or like a shop even or something like that?
Yeah. Stickers, wearables, those I think are two places where we're going to be able to see people, more lightweight ways for people to have UGC stuff and collecting. So yeah, obviously anybody can make a sticker. You can make stickers with ChatGPT these days. It can be a way to flex a community, a brand, a project that you're associated with or fans of. And those projects can raise money through it. They can use them as NFTs, and so since they're NFTs, they can token gate things. There's a lot of opportunity there.
That's awesome. Well, I can't wait to stop buying Robux. So as soon as we can make that happen, that'd be awesome. Thanks.
Love it.
Yeah, he's got an army of little ones that he's going to get clicking on the keyboard, I'm sure, soon enough, man. As soon as you can migrate them to your deed, that's going to be the play.
Man, I've spent so much on Robux that I had to invest in the Roblox stock. So that may be a good strategy for everybody here who has kids, and we've spent ungodly amounts of money on Robux. Just wanted to mention that. Spooky, how you feeling this morning?
Hey, what's up, family? Not much, man. I appreciate the opportunity, Baron, Illa, Garga, Figge. Nice to meet you guys, man. Hype, welcome, brother. Best club, bro. That's the best club. Two questions, man. One real quick. How many ape skulls do I have to collect to play as my mutant in Bathroom Blitz? That's my first question to either Garga or Figge.
Mutants won't be live. I think you can play as Curtis, but your mutant, that's still to come. We're working on it. We can probably get Rita's up there in a little bit quicker time frame, but let us think back with you on that one.
Okay, bet. Yeah, I was just curious. And man, when we're in the trenches talking about Web 2 and Web 3 gaming, we're always talking about, Web 3 gaming is not where it needs to be, or, it's not optimal, right? So always go back to Web 2, Call of Duty, the Fortnites. What do you think is the bridge, in your opinion, that kind of or separates Web 3 and Web 2, that it's going to give us the ability so I can tell my buddy in Web 2, right? Hey, I'm playing other side, I'm playing Bathroom Blitz. He's like, oh, that's a Web 3 game, right? Or he's just like, oh, yeah, let's go play that, right? Gaming. Let's just go game on that. What do you guys think, in your opinion, either brings it together and or separates it?
Uh, Man, it's a lot of things. I think there's a few different goals there. One is, can you get your friends playing other side or any Web3 game with you in a way where they just love the game and they don't really, you've hidden the wires of the blockchain, so to speak. You're logging in with your Twitter, you got a self-custodial wallet that you don't need to worry about until you want it. And otherwise, they're just there to have a good time. But the goal, the value proposition with crypto is always is ownership. There's all this Web 2 drama going on right now with like Nintendo and the Switch 2, apparently, where there's even apparently stuff in like the terms of service where they're saying like, well, you don't even actually own the games that you're buying from us. You're like renting them. We can, you know, lock you out at any time. You don't even own your Switch. We're just letting you use it, yada, yada. And at the end of the day, what we're trying to, the ethos here, the philosophy is that in a world that's like continuing to digitize, where more and more of our time, our energy, our money is spent online, that it's inherently better to own your digital assets than it is to rent them. And so the goal here is, in the same way that we're all used to spending tons of money on Robux or on League of Legends skins or all that stuff, that we can actually now own those things, which means we can sell them, we can trade them, and that's just a whole new concept for folks. And I think it's like a two-way street. There's the consumer side of that, which is like, great, I spent a bunch of money on these things. There's only a certain amount of them. I can see on the blockchain how scarce the digital assets I own are, and I can, look to monetize those and trade them or collect and all that kind of stuff. But, the other part of this stuff is actually from a creator standpoint, where imagine I collect, when I played League for years, I would occasionally collect a skin, and because some of them were just too cool to pass up. They would be like, oh shit, this is like I played this guy Cho'Gath, and they had this good gentleman Cho'Gath where he had a top hat and he'd kind of like talk shit to people in a British accent. I was like, okay, I got to get that. But imagine a world where artists and creators are able to permissionlessly be like, hey, I'm going to make, if Riot Games, if League of Legends released the spec for like, hey, here's what a Cho'Gath skin needs to look like, and here's what it needs to, the specs it needs to conform to, and if you meet these requirements, you can just submit it to us, and we can approve it. It can be on the store, and you can sell it. And then you start to think about like, well, what does that open up? It opens up interesting ideas for like collabs. Could you have like a cause or an up and coming cause or Daniel Arsham type person making skins for a video game that, they don't even need to go deal with a manager, a middleman, or anybody. They could just be like, I like this. I'm going to make it. I'm going to post it up for sale. And there's only a certain amount of them. And I'm going to be able to collect it and, collect royalties from this thing in perpetuity. I'm like part of the value chain here. That's, I think, where like the real value prop is that can get normal people who don't really give a shit about like, it's like, it's pretty hard to sell people on like decentralization or things like that. But when they hear like, what does that actually mean? Permissionlessness, being able to like, no, you can be part of this just by owning a token. You can monetize it just by like having a smart contract. That's what I think gets like regular people who don't give a shit about crypto excited and wanting to be on chain.
Oh yeah, I love
And
that
I
answer.
think
Thanks.
there's something that I learned from the entertainment industry is, and especially it speaks to what Garga was talking about with Nintendo and all that drama. Bad press for one company is great marketing for the other. I'll leave it at that.
I got to jump in and just jump on that point. For myself, like I wasn't a gamer. I always felt like playing video games was a waste of my time. As someone who had to work since I was like 14 years old, like that was not an option, right? There had to be income coming in. So playing a video game felt like, man, I'm wasting time that I should be making money, somehow. And now thinking of a video game that can have an economy of sorts, I can justify having fun and playing a video game because I can feel or actualize an income there, and that's the thing that separates, that draws a lot of people like myself who are in their 40s who are like, games, they're cool. Like I play Madden, I'll fuck people up on Madden all day, but like Fortnite, these other games, I'm super not into it because I felt like I wasn't making money, simply put. And bringing that aspect to the game, I'm like, oh, I'm super interested now. So I love how that's going to play out for so many of us.
Man, I love
I
that
mean,
you answered.
that's the thing about Roblox. That's literally what it is. Like my daughter is a master marketer, trader. She's gotten scammed before. She's gotten ripped off. And now she understands like scarcity mindset. Like, okay, I'm not going to go after the thing that's hype. I'm going to go after the thing that's scarce and gather enough of my friends to corner the market on this scarce thing. And then we run the price up. She was doing this in fourth grade. And I'm like, holy shit! I just see her mind working, and these are the people, or that's the generation that we're building these things for, because there are gonna be, they're super digital natives and they're gonna be crypto natives. So it just makes complete sense. And all other side has always made sense, and now it just keeps making more and more sense because we are the generation where the dads are in their 40s or 30s and 40s, and they're playing video games still. So, and now you can play games with your kids, and now you guys could all trade together. And then if you're a dev, your kid can be like, "Hey, Dad, there's this game. You should build something over here. Like, can't you? You're a dev. Can't you build this?" And then they come in the other side and like, "Holy shit, what the hell is this?" Like, there's gonna be a lot of those. Oh, holy shit, what the hell is this moments? And the more that people like Nintendo and these people keep fucking up with these walled gardens, the better marketing is for good old other side, baby. Hype, how you feeling?
Yeah, good. I was actually going to say one thing and then ask Garga one last question or Figgy. Illa, you're hitting the nail, bro. When my daughter was 8, she was building plots with homes and different things, and she would charge people in Roblox, bro. So she basically take the money that were Roblox or Robux and build them their homes and then flip it. So she started off flipping her first place, taking her Roblox, building another house, soliciting and selling her time by building them their plots, their houses, and they keep going and going and going. So she was just stacking, bro, at 9 years old. So I know the feeling. So the kids of this age and this generation are very, very smart. They're very savvy. They're very entrepreneurial. I mean, you think of the kids in the lemon stand when they're like 5, right? Same thing, but now it's a whole different ball game because they're really making bank. So yeah, that's pretty cool to hear. Garga, I have a question though. So Illa just tapped on something that was really important. I think especially for new people, not only into the ecosystem but also new people onboarding. Is there going to be like a master class on other side for people where if they're new or brand new or just like video training guides or something like that of that nature that's going to be available to everybody publicly?
Yeah, without spoiling too much, we're really cognizant of what are people's like first touch with other side going to be. Like when persistence goes live, it needs to be in a way where if somebody hasn't been paying attention for the past several years, they can jump right into it and grok it and not be, tutorials can be boring. So you want it to be active and engaging. You don't want to feel like you're studying up. You want to feel like, you're getting in the thick of action and there's just enough there to guide you. And for those of us who've been waiting years for this, there's also like, it can be a really rich storytelling experience for others as well. So like that is super duper top of mind. I know like that's been actually Figgy's, a huge just work stream that he's been on for the better part of the last 3, 4, or 5 months. So yeah, short answer is yes.
Thanks for listening to Ape Chain on Chain. This project is powered by the ApeCoin DAO through AIP 572, bringing our community's valuable conversations on chain and also on traditional audio platforms. Rate this episode and/or leave feedback and earn Dixo rewards by visiting the Dixo on-chain platform.